busy schedules to be here today. Good to be back home in North Louisiana. Like I was telling someone earlier, I'm from here and we come here quite a bit. I married a Farmerville man, as you all know. My husband, most of you know my husband Bobby. Yes, he doesn't want to stand up, he's trying to be bashful.
Yes,
We've been married almost 36 years, and you know I have good taste if I pick the Farmerville man right here.
That's all.
Oh, where's Freddie stepped out? Right here. Oh, okay. And we're here on spring break visiting my brother-in-law, Freddie. First row there, he's holding his own us and he cooked well for us, and we've been eating well, and he's been giving us all the hospitality. I was raised right down the road, as some of you may know, in Grambling, Louisiana. My parents both worked on campus. I went through the school system in Grambling, went to Grambling State University, which is where Bobby and I met. After graduation, we both moved to Oklahoma City, married, and God blessed us with a daughter, Rashonda. She's 35, and right now she is in Oklahoma City. She has a beauty salon, and she's doing quite well. God has blessed her richly. We don't have grandkids yet, but we know one day that will come too. So. As many of you know, we now live, as I said earlier, we now live in Oklahoma City. As many of you know, Oklahoma City is like Tornado Alley. Unfortunately, we do get more than our share of tornadoes. Some of them, unfortunately, do a great deal of damage. Most of us know the drill when the tornadoes come. We get in the shelter, we hide, we wait out the storm. And you know, it's kind of ironic, I forgot to mention that we live in Oklahoma City of all places, because I grew up in Grambling, as I mentioned earlier. When I was about 6 or 7 years old, I was in a tornado. It was on a Sunday morning about 11:30, during the time when most people are in church, and I always kid about how maybe that was God's way of telling us we should have been in church that day. But we went home, my parents decided to play hooky, so to speak, from church, and we were having a late breakfast, and it started to rain and storm a whole lot, and my mom and dad got up, and they used to put papers under the windows to keep the windows would leak a lot, and they'd go and they put newspapers down. So they were in the back putting the papers down, and I'm at the table eating my breakfast watching Mr. Magoo, which kind of tells you, those of you old enough to remember Mr. Magoo, know how old I am. But anyway, I was watching Mr. Magoo, and all at once I see all this wind rushing up, so I look out the patio door, and I see all this stuff going in a circle, pieces of metal and debris. It looked like stuff in the washing machine, and I didn't know what a tornado was at the time. I'd never seen the Wizard of Oz or anything, so I didn't know what was going on. I look out, I see all this little stuff going in a circle, and I said, that's cool. That looks like stuff in the washing machine. Oh, okay. I got to call my parents and say, come see this cool thing. About the time that happens, all the stuff just crashes through, and glass goes everywhere. And my father had seen the tornado about that same time. He saw it touch down, and it had damaged our neighbor's tool shed. That was all the debris from the neighbor's tool shed. So he was on his way to get me anyway, because he was headed toward our house. And I was screaming. By now, it wasn't cute anymore. It was real scary. So I'm screaming for my parents, and my dad's coming up the hall trying to get me. And he said, according to him, he could not get in the front room to get me because glass is everywhere. And I did not get one scratch on me. So that's nothing but God. I always give that as my testimony about how God will protect you in the time of storm. Because now, I was kind of scared of storms for that for a while. Every time it would get cloudy, I'd go get my parents, you know, because I always thought that was going to happen again. So it's kind of ironic. As scared as I was of thunderstorms, that I moved to a place like Oklahoma. But that's where God led us to be. And we've been there since, well, I've been there since 78, and Bobby was there. He got there New Year's Eve 78, so 78, 79. But we've been there ever since. Raised our daughter up. And as I said earlier, when the tornadoes come, it is pretty scary. They sound the sirens, and they run the bulletins on TV, and everyone gets in whatever shelter they have, bathroom, restroom, closet, underground shelter. You wait out the storm, and you hope it's over, and then it passes on by, and then you go and you check out the damage. And it's sort of like how life throws you storms that way, too. The enemy will throw issues your way, and you wonder, is it going to be over with? How long are we going to have to wait on this? And just like in a tornado, when you get in the shelter, you expect the shelter to protect you. Well, when you go through a life storm, you should expect God to protect you the same way. Just like when a shelter in a storm protects you. And just like it says in Mark 4:39, remember the story where the disciples were on the boat with Jesus and the storm came up and they were frightened. And in Mark 4:39 it says, and he arose and rebuked the wind and said unto the sea, peace be still, and the wind ceased, and there was a great calm. The disciples were afraid of the oncoming storm, but Jesus told them afterwards, and he also said, why are you so fearful? How is it that you have no faith? And just like he says, you have to have faith during the times of storm. And in Storm Damage, the lead character, Elaine Webster, she is a woman of faith. And she goes through a lot of issues, and including a tornado, because there's also a tornado in this. And the story deals with how she deals with the after effects. The tornado is a turning point in her life. Before the tornado, she had a successful business, a nice home, and the video, and you probably saw pieces of it as they were working on the computer. She had a nice home and a salon. She has a beautiful daughter. Everything's going well. The tornado happens, and she loses her sister, and she has a nephew named Terrence who's now orphaned because of the tornado, and she has to deal with that. And I'm going to read you the first paragraphs of Storm Damage, first couple of paragraphs here. After her last disastrous wedding, Elaine Webster never imagined that she would find herself repeating the scene as she glided nervously down the aisle on her brother's arm. Waiting at the altar, the love of her life smiled at her reassuringly. Elaine knew with every fiber of her being that she would always love him, even if she did not know his name. That's the first paragraph that kind of puts your interest there. The disastrous wedding that I referred to in this, she was engaged 10 years ago to a fellow named Ross Grayson. And on the wedding day, he got up to the altar and he, so to speak, lost his nerve and walked off and left her at the altar. And she didn't know, and also he didn't know that she was pregnant at the time with her daughter. She had a hard time at first trying to get back on her feet, and finally, as I said, she finally was blessed to have a successful business and do really well, but she never heard from Ross, at least not till now. That's in the book too. We have to look to find out what happened when Ross comes back into her life, but she also meets a gentleman named Bruce, and a relationship forms because of that, but there's a lot of issues with that. And as I said earlier, Terrence, her nephew, he's having a hard time dealing with it and going through having to go from having Elaine as his cool aunt to Elaine as the parent. And so she's suggesting to that, and he's suggesting to that. And through it all, she must rely on her faith, and it's tested many times. So to find out how she deals with it, I do recommend that you buy Storm Damage. And I'm going to go ahead and show the video again. Many of you probably saw it. Like I said, we had a little computer issue there. I'm going to show it. I also have a Facebook page that's on there, and I can show you that. I think it froze again. Oh, wait, I think it's coming. You know, we get dependent on these gadgets nowadays, so well, it's on here, but it's not on there. Huh. Okay. All right.
I don't, that's why I said go ahead, because I mean, usually, is it like you have to, hold on, let's see.
Me too.
I'm try it again.
Elaine has a life filled with sunshine.
Yes.
God has blessed her with a beautiful daughter.
Thanks.
She owns an upscale hair salon and a magnificent home. But then life throws some storms her way. She loses her sister and her home. Suddenly, she's faced with the challenge of raising her troubled nephew. Even in the midst of all this drama, somehow Elaine finds love. Can this budding romance endure the appearance of Elaine's long-absent baby daddy? Elaine's fate is put to the test in the new Christian romance by Rosalind Coleman. Storm Edge, available from Urban Edge Publishers.
Okay, that's the video. I think.
How dark is it? It's only-
Oh, wait, there it is. My, also my Facebook page, I show you that. If those of you on Facebook, I do have a author page. I'm also on Twitter, but I'm not about to try to fool with this thing and get on Twitter. So I want to leave it alone. So, and I have a web page, but we had a little issue with that. But the web page and is on the link, which is on my business card right there. The business on Facebook page. Those of you that are interested on Rosalind Coleman author page. It just has some information.
The last thing that Dr. Frederick Price and his congregation expected was a false and misleading ABC News story about their ministry. But that's just what they got. March 23rd, 2000.
It's a drama.
Brad Price.
Anyway, it's just the Facebook page if you want to have some time on Facebook, and feel free to sign up for the page. The website, as I said, is on the cards. I do have books here. Those of you that would like a book today, I am doing signings. Does anyone have any questions or anything they'd like to say? I'm a person of very few words, so I don't make long speeches. I'm not like the preacher that gets up, everybody goes, okay. No. We have a associate minister at our church, Reverend Knight. What does he always say? Be ready, be brief, and be seated. That's not supposed to be ready. So when he gets up, we always know it's going to be quick. He says, be ready, be brief, and be seated. Anyone? Oh, the book is $12.95. I'm accepting cash and credit cards. And also, if you're not able to get it today, you can go online for the sources I forgot to. Oh, did you?
Yeah,
Okay.
I had a question.
Okay.
When did you start gathering this information? How long did it take you to get all that information?
Okay. Well, first off, it is a fiction book, so it's not something I had to like research a lot on some real life deal. Mostly information I got was on storms and that kind of thing. God led me this idea when I was over at my dad's house. I think about 10 or 12 years ago. We used to have on Oklahoma City public access TV on cable. They used to show these pictures after you have a major tornado. They show pictures that they find at storm sites, and they'd be home photographs and family pictures, and they have it on TV and say, you know, if this is your picture, contact this person, blah, blah, blah. And I thought to myself, I said, well, what if somebody found a picture in a case like that at a storm? Because in the story, you'll see when you read the story, she comes across a picture, and it's a guy that God has showed her in a vision, and it's the same guy that she'll later meet, Bruce. But I thought, what if somebody sees a picture and it's like something God has showed to them, or somebody God has showed to them, and and then they start trying to find this person, and the story just sort of evolved from that. And like I said, it's about 10 or 12 years, and I had written it and rewritten it and done revisions of it over the years, and I had to find a publisher, and I did find Urban Edge Publishing. It is a female, predominantly black, African-American run company out of Georgia. And those of you that like to write, they do accept new authors, and they're on the card there is their website. So if you are a writer and are interested, you can contact them about signing on, and and they help me get it started, get it printed. I had it on another site called Smashwords, which is a free website for writers, and you can put your book on, and the only thing is they only do ebooks that you read online. And a lot of people say, well, I like your book, but I like a book, most people want a real book you can hold in your hand with paper and pages. And unfortunately, that can get expensive if you like self-publish. Because I looked at that, but that's money I didn't have, and maybe people don't have. And Urban Edge does not charge a fee. Now, you will probably have to pay for editing or something like that, but basically they don't charge to print it, but you do have to meet a minimum requirement of books, orders before they will actually print it. But they will help you out about getting your book published. So that's, and for those of you that are interested, you might contact them about publishing your book. And the book is available, like I said, on Urban Edge. It's also available on Amazon. If you don't, hopefully you'll get it from me today. But the other option, if you don't get it from me today, it's available on Amazon.com and on the publisher's website. There's a bookstore in Oklahoma City that has it. Because locally there's no store that has it, but I am working on getting it. I've been in contact with Grambling University's library, not library, I'm sorry, the bookstore in Student Union. They're gathering some information from my publisher, so hopefully, prayerfully, maybe it will also be in the North Louisiana area. And then the library has gotten free copies that people will be able to get soon from the bookmobile and all to check out. So be available soon here at the library. Okay, any other questions? Okay, we're going to go ahead, and anyone that's interested, and also I've got cards. You can get a card also. Whether or not you get a book, I have 2 cards here. I've got the business card. It's got the information on how to get the book and my contact information. And this is a replica of the cover, and it's got a synopsis, a summary of the book. So feel free to get that. Okay. Come on, boy. So we grew up together. So. Same town, Grambling. That's it. Grambling, hometown. Okay. All right. Well, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and take a seat here, and if anyone's wanting to buy a copy, feel free to come forward. And thank you for coming out. And it's $12.95. Getting a copy? Okay.
Please, probably. Turn it there, can I? There we go. It's cold with me.
Okay. Let me What's your name, sir?
Oh, really? That's all right.
Good seeing you, man. All right, you too.
I gotta get my camera.
Okay.
You can give me, you love me.
Babylon. Well, you like to know if you on here, baby. They told me to be good down here. Make yourself useful, Lord have mercy. You got a big mouth.
Sign the one to get the one to give up.
Y'all just medicine they giving y'all. I need some of that. I know that's right. I know that's right.
Amy, come. Yeah, you were the first one I'm using.
Y'all gonna be all.
That's like it.
Okay, yeah.
What did that?
Yeah, I have to put it back on.